So before we even got into today's video, I wanted to remind y'all this is like the first time I've sat down to record a video. Can we just dust the cobwebs off my chair first? I hope you enjoy. Hey babes, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking all about my path to PA school. I'm so excited to make this video because I feel like I kind of left you guys in the dark about why I'm going through this master's program, what led me to get there, how did I do an undergrad, is this really the profession I want to be in? So I feel like a lot of questions have gone unanswered about my education, so I wanted to answer them in this video and also clue you guys into what I have planned on in the future. So if you want to see my path to PA school, then just stay tuned. Alrighty guys, so this is the first video in my series called The Path to PA School. So in this video, I'm basically telling you guys where I am currently on this goal to becoming a PA. So I'm going to start with my undergraduate years, then go into that year break I took after college, and then now where I've landed. So in undergrad, I wanted to major in pre-med. Well, I did major in pre-med for the entirety of my college career. But I wanted to be a doctor for the longest time, so I was thinking straight out of undergraduate school, straight out of my university, I would go directly into medical school, and that would be the end of it, because I wanted to be a doctor for so long. I wanted to be an OBGYN specifically. So I was talking to my sister. I remember this conversation vividly. I was talking to my sister, Chastity, on the way to my other sister, Nikki's house, and I was in an Uber or something like that. Somebody was driving, and I was in the back seat. And so me and her were talking about how is school going and things like that. And I was just telling her, yeah, my grades are okay, but I really want to go to medical school. And a lot of my friends are going, and the grades they have compared to mine are much better. And I was telling her about other stressors that were causing me to not perform as well as I wanted to in college. And she was like, well, if you can't become a doctor, have you thought about becoming a PA? And at the time, I didn't understand what it was. I had never heard of that profession. So she briefly explained, you know, as a physician assistant, they do kind of the same thing as a doctor, but it's less hours. They get more patient time, and they can actually have a family outside of working. So I'm like, okay, because some of the quarrels I had with being a doctor is that I don't know when I'll be able to start a family, and that with the patients come in, it's kind of a diagnosis and treatment with doctors. But I feel like as a physician assistant, as a nurse practitioner, like you have so much more time with the patient to actually build a connection and have them trust you with their treatment. And you can thoroughly explain why you're doing what you're doing, or you can explain a little bit more than a doctor because they're always like running. So I was like, she's right, you know, this is something I could see myself better suited for, because I know I wanted to be in the medical field. I didn't care in kind of what variation, but I knew I wanted to be someone of contact in the treatment team, like somebody that would come to me like, Valencia, she's having this issue, what should we do for treatment, da da da. So I knew I wanted to play a role like that. So when she told me about the PA, I was like, okay, let me do my own research, because like I said, she briefly explained it, so I didn't quite understand what their role did in the medical field, and if it was just a physician's assistant. So do I just walk in his shadow or her shadow and just do whatever they say do? So I'm on the computer. Physician assistant. How do you become a physician assistant? What do physician assistants do? Are they similar to doctors? What's the salary like? And so as I started doing my research, I'm like, a light bulb went off, and I'm like, okay, I really want to do this. But mind you, it's my junior year of college, and like, I'm basically at the end of my curriculum. So I'm scrambling, trying to figure out what prerequisites I need for this school, for that school, so I can apply. Because you have to go through a whole centralized application website to apply for a graduate program to become a PA. So I'm scrambling, but luckily, since I'm pre-med, I have like a medical advisor who I can talk to about my profession specifically. So I scheduled an appointment with him immediately, and I'm like, hey, I think I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I want to be a PA. Like, help me get there. Tell me what I need to do. So he was like, well, first, most schools require you to take the GRE, and the GRE is the graduate record exam. And so I had never even heard of this, because in medical school, all you hear about is MCAT, taking the MCAT, studying for the MCAT. So I'm like, GRE? And when I found out it was just like a general exam to see how much you know, like coming from undergraduate, I was like, okay, this shouldn't be very hard to study for. So I got like a hand-me-down book some girl was selling, and I started to study. So I'm looking at the material, but all the while I'm going to classes, I'm going to work. So eventually it got lost in the sauce, and I was like, you know what? I don't feel like studying anymore. And mind you, I had only briefly looked at the book sometimes. So it wasn't like I was truly studying, but I was like, you know what? Wash my hands with this. I'm just going to pay for the test and take it. Girl, this test is like $200 something. So I'm a poor college student. So I'm like calling around, asking friends and family, can you please help me pay for this test? Can you pay for this test for me? I'll pay you back. So I feel like I asked my sister to pay for it, and I feel like she did pay for it, but for some reason I feel like we had a conversation and she didn't. But I'm gonna say my sister paid for it, because if she didn't, how did I pay for the test? Anyway, so pay for the test. I scheduled to take the exam, but mind you, I had already stopped studying for it because I had made up my mind. It's gonna be easy. It's not gonna be too difficult. But my roommate at the time, if you remember from my college horror story, my roommate A, she actually wanted to go to a master's program too. So she was studying for the GRE, and I watched her study day in, day out. That girl was always with flashcards or looking at the book or highlighting or writing things down. I'm like, oh my God, she's going ham. And I'm over here in my room like looking at 2 paragraphs, and I'm like, okay, I think I got this down pat. And I done scheduled a $200 test. Anyway, so I go, I take the test. And the first part, because the GRE comes in 3 parts, so it's like analytical writing, verbal reasoning, and then quantitative reasoning. Verbal reasoning to me is like the reading section of an ACT, SAT type of thing. And then quantitative reasoning is math. And then analytical writing is they give you a prompt and you write about it, and then they score it. They score all 3 sections. And so when it came to the analytical writing, I didn't feel as intimidated, because I know I'm a pretty good writer. I won't say I'm amazing, but I'm like, if you give me a prompt, I can pretty much piece together something that's worthwhile to read. And if I can remember, or if I still have access to my test, I'll include my exact scores on each section. I mean, I'm going to have to take the test again eventually. So this is just like where I started from. Hopefully where I go is a lot higher. But anyway, so doing the writing, I was like, okay, this is fine. I feel like I got this. And then we get into the verbal reasoning. There's 20 questions per section, and then there's 2 sections. And the questions get harder. Yeah, I think they get harder as you progress throughout the test. So the first couple questions, I'm like, okay. Girl, we get down to like maybe the 3rd or 4th questions. And I'm like, wait, this is hard. Wait, I don't even know the basis of that root word. Wait, I don't even know what this means. Wait, what is that? So I'm over there, brain cells just frying throughout this test. I'm like, I have no idea what this stuff means. So then I start to panic, like, Lindsay, you really didn't study well enough. You done wasted $200. This test is like 8 hours long. So you're just sitting here and you don't even know the material, that this was a waste of money, a waste of time. But I kept going through the test because I'm not going to stop it. You know, I don't want to quit on it. I just want to see kind of how well I do, not having studied at all, really. So then I'm going through the exam, kind of making just educated guesses on everything. And then of course when I get my score back, the first person I go to tell is my medical advisor, because then he'll tell me if I need to take it again or if this score is okay to start applying. So I get the score back and it's a 283. Mind you, most schools want at least a 300 to apply to the programs. Even though they don't mention a minimum in some schools, I know they still want around a 300. So I'm like, oh, I'm probably going to have to take this test again, and I really don't want to. And I know when I go to my medical advisor, he's going to tell me take the test again. I knew that. But I was like, I'm going to go to him anyway. Hopefully he tells me to go ahead and start applying. Never sell yourself short. I feel like that's what I did the whole first time I started applying, or like started looking into this profession. I was like, you know what? It's my backup. So I'm not going to really try to apply myself like I did when I thought I wanted to go to medical school. So I think I was selling myself short this whole process, and just like, okay, my grades are okay. I do a lot of working. I have a lot of outside experience. I should be okay. So if I don't do so well in the test, I'm not going to retake it. And so, of course, I go to my medical advisor, and he's like, Ms. Bradley, I would suggest you retake the test before you start applying. And I'm like, I'm not about to retake this test. I'm not about to spend another $200. So I went against his judgment, and I just started applying that cycle. I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply to 7 schools. There's no way I could not get in applying to 7 schools. I went into so much debt. You have to pay to apply to the programs, and then some of them have a supplemental application you have to pay for. And it just was so much money coming out of my pocket. And I'm a broke college student. I need to emphasize, I was a broke college student. So I'm just over here shelling out all this dough, and I'm like, you know what, out of 7 schools, I know somebody's gonna call me for an interview. I know it. Y'all, I get through that interview process, through that cycle. I never get any callbacks to interview. I get so many rejection letters. At this point, I'm distraught, I'm crying, I'm upset. I'm like, why am I not getting picked? Like, why am I not even getting a chance to interview just to see if I'm worth, going out on a limb for? And so I talked to the same sister again, Chastity, and I was crying to her about this. And she was like, you know what, it'll pan out for you. Just keep trying with it. Like, don't give up. And I'm a very type A person. So if I really, really, really want something, I'm going to go for it. So that's why I continue to better myself for PA school. I've continued to do my research to see what have the programs I'm applying to. Have they changed any requirements? Are there some things additional I need to be looking out for? And now, oh my God, I hate I didn't know this in undergraduate, but there's so many so many groups on Facebook that will help you write your whole purpose, your statement, your whole statement of purpose. Like, why do you want to become a PA? Oh my God, there's so many programs that'll basically help you put in all your achievements, academic and like work related. There's just so many groups that help you do this type of stuff. And that's what I needed when I was applying the first time. I needed someone to walk me through how to apply, like how to make my application as pristine as possible. Even if I did have the low grades, because my GPA was okay. So I graduated with a 3.2, but I was a biochemistry major. I always say they should start doing GPAs by your major. Biochemistry is definitely very hard. And then I minor in biology and psychology. So I just kept pounding extremely hard sciences on myself, and I came out with a 3.2, so I don't feel bad. But I'm just like, compared to someone else who majors in biology or in exercise science or kinesiology or something and got like a 3.7, I don't look as good on paper. So it doesn't matter what I majored in. But anyway, so I really wish I had took advantage of more services to prepare me to apply that cycle, but I didn't. I didn't have the grades, I didn't have the test score, and I didn't get in. And like I said, at this point, I'm just distraught. Like, when will I ever get my chance to make a mark in this profession? Will I ever get my chance to showcase that I'm very intellectual? I'm very willing to put in the hours, the time needed to do this profession. So I took a gap year. And since I graduated with my degree in biochemistry, of course, the natural next step is for me to go into a laboratory setting, because mainly all my courses in college prepared me to work in a laboratory. And I found a job in Texas as a microbiology technician, and I thoroughly enjoyed that job. I made so many friends that I'm still friends with now. I learned a lot of things that I could still take with me now to another laboratory position. That was my first real job coming out of college, so the salary was way more than I had ever made working around my college campus or any of those jobs I had. So I was really excited to set mark inside, a territory like that. And so, of course, me wanting to still be a PA, I started to study for the GRE, but again, I didn't quite get through it. I don't know what it is about cracking open that book and trying to study, but it just doesn't last long with me. And at the time when I was studying, I was living alone. So my boyfriend, he still had another semester before he graduated. So I was in Texas by myself. I had my own apartment at this point, and I was living, alone, studying for the GRE. And then when he moved in, I just wanted to be with him and show him the city, because I thought I was going to be living in Texas for a long time. So I wanted us to feel comfortable. So I stopped studying and I just focused on making myself comfortable in Texas. And then lo and behold, we ended up moving out without, it wasn't even a month. I think we were there for I was there for 8 months. He was there for probably 4, So we ended up moving to California. And mind you, some of the programs I had been looking at are here in California. Actually, one of the schools I really wanted to go to is a 5-minute drive from my house right now. So I went there and I went to their facility, and I had scheduled a sit down with some woman, but she wasn't at work that day. So they gave me some other lady, and I was asking her the questions so, if I had an application like this, hypothetically speaking, which now I know professionals like admissions boards and stuff like that, they won't give you the lowdown, hoedown about grades and what's going to make you look better, stuff like that. They'll give you a generalized okay, make sure your GPA is here, but they won't give you the bread and butter to what you need to do. So I was telling her how I was going to enroll at a community college out here and retake some science courses. Did she think that would be the best course of action? And so she was giving me some very roundabout answers to my questions, and it wasn't answering the questions. So I was like, I still left that meeting not knowing how to pursue this career any further. So then, this is gonna sound crazy, but I was actually like looking late at night, like 2 a.m. I'm just on my phone, like, what am I gonna do? I wanna go back to school. I wanna do something that's gonna make me happy. I wanna do something where I can still make money until I become a PA, because I don't wanna give up on my education and I don't wanna give up on this profession, but I wanna make money and I wanna be working in somewhere that's at least closely related to the PA profession. So lo and behold, since I have roots in Texas, I started looking up programs in Texas. And like, I just started putting things in my search engine, like best program to bridge into PA school. Just putting different kind of search terms in my search engine, and MPH kept popping up. Masters in Public Health, Masters in Public Health. And it's offered online too at so many schools. But of course, I was looking at Texas programs. So that's how I came across Baylor. And I was like, oh, okay. So Masters in Public Health is something I could use to bridge me over. It'll give me the skills, but it's not quite a science related concept. So I know they're gonna still go with my undergraduate science GPA, but me having attended another graduate program and like have done well in it will make me look like a better candidate to then go to PA school. So I'm like, Eureka, I found it. So then it was applying to the master's program, because I had to still get my letters of recommendation. I had to still get my transcript sent over. I don't know if that made me write a statement of purpose or not, but I had to still get all my application together to apply. But luckily, they give you like an advisor who's there to help you throughout the whole application process. So me and her started working closely together. She would tell me what she had received, what she hadn't, you know, what I still need to get in. And then I got the email saying, we're so happy to inform you you've been accepted into the MPH program. And I was like, yes, I finally know what I'm going to do. I finally know what I'm going to do to help me, you know, become a better candidate for PA school. So when I got in, I was thinking, I'm going to graduate. Well, I'm still thinking I'm going to graduate this program with honors. So either it's magna cum laude, summa cum laude, or cum laude, period. I'm graduating with honors from this program. That's something I told myself. And I'm still telling myself that because I'm still going through it. But so now that's where I'm at with things. I'm in my master's program. I completed 2 quarters already because they go by the quarter system. But in those 2 quarters, I was taking 1 class only. And so now this quarter, I'm taking 2. This is a 2-year program. And like I said before, it's online. And I'm doing it part-time. So that's what makes it 2 years. But so far, so good. I have an A in the first class. I got a high B+ in the second class. I was literally 1 point from an A. We're not going to go there. That class was super hard. And so now I'm starting the next 2 classes next week. And I'm praying I get an A out of both of those. So it'll help my GPA stay around a 3.98, you know, a 3.99. But that's what I'm doing to become a PA. I'll keep you guys informed maybe after I graduate from this program, let you know my GPA is, you know, things like that. I'll also update you in other videos about how it's coming along. But I'll mainly save the big announcements for when I start updating this series about how I got into PA school. So I would suggest if there's anything you really wanted to do and learn more about, find a Facebook group for it because I guarantee you it exists. So yeah, that has been my little spiel about my path to PA school. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye.